am going to talk to you today about Peergrade, which is an online peer review tool for student writing. And one of the things I love about Peergrade is that it is completely anonymous to students, but it is not anonymous to teachers. So as students are giving each other feedback, it removes some of that vulnerability of and their insecurity about their writing because they know that their name is not attached to it. At least students don't see that. I do think it's important that I'm transparent with students, though, that I do see the work that they are putting in towards their peer reviews. And I think that oftentimes makes them feel a little more accountable to the work that they're doing rather than just writing something like, oh, yeah, it's good, like, great job. So it is not anonymous to teachers, which I think is really important, and also one of the things I love about it. What I also love about this is that students are able to view other students' writing. These are kids that they are in classes with and spend a lot of time with throughout the day. And I think as English teachers, we always say that the best way to become a better writer is to read more. And yes, part of that is by gaining new vocabulary and having different experiences with reading. But a part of it is also just being able to see different writing styles of other people. And I think the same can be said for peer review, being able to see how, oh, this is how Sarah did this paper. I could absolutely use that in my own writing. So I think that's really important. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Peergrade, to get to Peergrade, you are going to go to app.peergrade.io. I've highlighted it up here in the Omni box for you. And once you are there, you are going to want to log in with your school Google account. And then you are going to be able to create classes. And so you will go to create class. You have several different options, but probably the easiest one is to sync it with Google Classroom. I've already done this, so I'm not going to sync my classes again. You could also, if you didn't want to sync it with Google Classroom, you could just create a class. And what that will do is ask you to give students a join code, just like you would for many of the other digital tools out there. So you'll create your class, and then you'll see I have all of my classes listed here. And I'm going to take you through the process of creating an assignment. So I'm going to click on Peergrade. Well, I'll click on Practice Classroom because I have one student in there you'll be able to see. So once I click on Practice Classroom, there are a couple of things. Once you've got your classroom set up, you can manage the class settings. So if you ever want to delete the class, you can just archive it and it won't show up in your classes. You can change student email settings, your own teacher email settings. You can change different weights of assignments and all of those types of things. So in order to create an assignment, under assignments, you're going to go to create assignment, and then you will give this a title. So Peergrade Practice 2. And you can give it a description. And you can also, if you have like a digital version of your, say, assignment or something like that, you can put this here. I'm just going to drag this there. It's a random file, so it doesn't actually match anything that we're doing, but you can put a file here. And you don't have to do that. You can choose not to have one. Click next. And then this rubric here, this is where you are going to type questions that students will answer. And so it automatically gives you these questions. Mention something that your classmate did well. Mention something that your classmate could improve at. If you don't like these questions, you don't have to keep them. If you click edit, you can delete it. When you're using this rubric, you can create your own questions here. So I'm going to create section 1, introduction. Maybe I have specific questions that I want my students to answer based on the introduction. Add feedback question. Was the hook effective in catching your attention. I can choose to have them answer with text, a scale, or yes or no. Since I'm going to put yes or no and then hit save, and it will save it there. So you can go through and create all of your own questions, or you might choose to go to the rubric library. And what I love about this is you have access to tons of different rubrics that other teachers have already created. And maybe you don't like all of the questions that are on there. You can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to use. So maybe I'm specifically doing a thesis peer review. I can click thesis workshop. And you do have the ability to look at the entire rubric before you actually use it. So, does the thesis tell the reader what the writer will be arguing in their essay? Does the thesis statement include an opinion? Does the thesis statement anticipate a counter argument? So on and so forth. So, if I'm thinking that this is perfect for what I want to do, I will copy rubric questions and they will automatically show up here in my rubric. But maybe I just don't really like this particular question. Suggest one or two things the author can do to improve their thesis statement. I'm going to click edit. I can change it, or I can just delete the question here. I can also give a minimum number of words for an answer. So if I want my students to write at minimum 5 words, I can change that and hit save. So once you've got your rubric created and you like it, you are going to click next. And this is the part that I really, really love. So you can choose to make this a live session. This is the way I would use this in my classes. If we were face to face in my classroom, I would choose a live session. So students are participating in this for the 50 minutes that they're in my classroom. But for these NTI days, I can set this for homework. So I'm going to select this. And this is really cool. So you can select the submission period and when that begins. So maybe I want to go ahead and create this assignment, but I don't actually want them to start submitting any work until tomorrow. And we'll say 8:00 a.m. And then I'm going to give them, for their submission period, I'm going to give them 2 days to get this done. So they have from Tuesday, April 14th, all the way to Thursday, April 16th. And again, I'll say 8:00 a.m. That's how long they have to submit a paper on here. Now, this is assuming that they've already written the paper. I'm not going to ask them to write the entire thing in 2 days, but it gives them 2 days to kind of troubleshoot and figure out, like, why is the technology not working? I need to talk to my teacher and that sort of thing. And so then I can set when the review period begins. The review period is when they're actually going to read other people's work and give feedback on it. So if they're submitting it on Thursday, April 16th at 8 a.m., maybe I want them to go ahead and be able to begin at 8 a.m. that day once they've submitted. And I might give them until, we'll say, Monday at 4:00 p.m. So that would be 1600. Okay? And so I can create this assignment. And so when students go to the assignment, they're going to see that the submission period has not begun yet. And when they come back tomorrow at 8 a.m., they'll see that they will be able to submit that document. So this is what this looks like here. As students are giving feedback and completing the work, you'll be able to see that under the results section here. Something else you may want to change is the assignment settings. Once you've created this assignment, there are several things that you can do. For example, for submissions, you can select maybe all of my students are working in Google Drive and I only want them to upload from their Google Drive. So maybe I'll select that. Or maybe I just want them to be able to do any of these formats, and that's fine too. For the feedback section, this one, I usually change this. It says student has to review however many submissions. You might choose that they want to review 1, or you may choose that you want them to review 4. It's kind of up to you and really based on the length of the assignment, but you can select that. Another option is to only allow students who have given feedback to see the feedback that they've received. So if you want to make sure that they are doing work in order to get some feedback, you can select that as well. There are lots of different settings here and lots of different things that you can do with Peergrade, but I will reiterate that I have found this super effective with my classes, and my students have also found this really effective and enjoyed that feedback process. So it's been really helpful to me, and I hope that it is helpful to you in your peer review process or in these non-traditional instructional days as well.